This is Personal Injury Court.
Good day, everyone. This is the matter of Platt and Reeves versus Hopper. Mr. Platt, Ms. Reeves, it's my understanding that you all received these injuries when Mr. Hopper's car hit yours and you were on the side of the road. You're asking this court to award you $90,000 for past medical expenses, $35,000 for future medical expenses, and $125,000 for pain and suffering, for a total award of $250,000. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Hopper, it's your position that you were being chased. Your car went out of control. This was not your fault. And although you hit them, you're not responsible for their injuries, right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, well, let's get into the legal sauce. Y'all, tell me how we got here.
Well, Your Honor, this is my fiance, and we have been happily engaged for about 5 months now.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We met about 3 years ago. Mutual friends invited us to a lake house, and we just bonded over being outside and our love of the water, and basically just haven't been apart ever since. We work a lot, so we promised each other that we would make time for each other every Saturday and get ice cream, because that was our first date and it means something to us. It's important.
So on this day, were you all going to get ice cream, coming from ice cream? Where were you going?
No, Your Honor. We had just finished eating our ice cream.
So you all are driving home?
Yeah, and just ran into this humongous, crazy scene.
There's just a line of cars just parked along the side of the road. There were also just a ton of police vehicles, you know, like with their lights on flashing. We get flagged down by an officer and he says, no, you guys need to get off the road now because there's a high-speed chase going on.
Okay.
And of course,
Yeah.
that doesn't happen in our town.
By this time, you all knew that something was wrong.
Yes.
Well, yes.
Mr. Hopper, before this accident happened, what was going on for you that day?
Well, Your Honor, I'm a social worker. I help rehabilitate women who have been battered and abused.
Very important work. Very important work.
I was, thank you. Your Honor, I was leaving. I was on my way home. And unfortunately, we're here today because of some lies that were told, and the unfortunate situation happened, and we're here.
Unfortunate.
So Mr. Platt, you were driving this car, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
So how do you get hit? If you pull off the side of the road, how do you get hit?
By that point, I thought to myself, well, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So I figure, okay, I'm gonna pull out my phone and just, you know, videotape it. Just as I start filming, they lay out the spike strips, and then I see this car barreling down the road like a bat out of hell, and it's approaching the spike strip, and at this point, it's clear, okay, he's going way too fast.
Okay.
He swerves a little bit in order to avoid running over the spike strips, but he goes right over it, and he's trying to correct himself, and he just goes right into us.
Your Honor, I had nowhere else.
Do you remember this collision?
It was like a
Yes, Your Honor, I
2-second.
had nowhere else to go. It's a small road. I go down this road every single day going home from work. It's downhill. It's a rural residential area. And yeah,
So you're familiar with this road?
I'm absolutely familiar with this road,
Okay.
and it's downhill. You're right, I did hit a spike strip, but I didn't know the spike strip was there.
Were you speeding?
No, Your Honor, it's
You were very much going over the speed limit.
So you're coming down the road.
Yes, sir, it's downhill.
You're not speeding,
No,
right?
sir.
And at some point, you realize there's a spike strip there.
Your Honor, I realized there was a spike strip there all at once the moment I hit it and heard I didn't know there was a spike strip there till after it had happened.
Okay.
I don't know what I had hit. I just saw something in the road at the same time that I heard a loud
You hit something. You hit something and you didn't immediately
and I hit a car,
brake.
and it's not my fault that there was a spike strip in the middle of the road, Your Honor.
I don't see
Thank you,
how
sir.
these lies affect.
Mr. Platt, you said that you were videotaping this.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you submitted a video to this court.
Yes, Your Honor.
I want to see it so you can tell me what happened. Let's take a peek at it. It's here on the plasma.
Look at this, look at this.
Oh my God.
Oh no!
What the Why would they put spikes?
What the You okay, babe?
I don't know, my head hit on something, I don't know what.
Now, Miss Reeves, what are you thinking while this is going on?
Honestly, Your Honor, that video only captures a small fraction of how frightened we were in that moment. It hit us so hard that my head went through the window. And the only thing worse than that moment was the moment before, because it hit his side of the car. I didn't think I was gonna have a fiance in a minute. So
You thought you all were gonna die.
I really did. I really did.
So, Mr. Hopper, you saw that video, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's you driving that car, right?
Your Honor, that,
Sure
that
is.
was my car before it was totaled because of the spike strips.
But you're in the car, right?
Yes, sir, I was driving the car home.
Who are you running from?
Your Honor, I wasn't running from anybody. I
Okay.
was just trying to get
Then why
home.
were the police chasing you?
I hope y'all will let me ask questions, right? Well, why are the cops behind you?
Well, Your Honor, that's an interesting story.
Well, tell it to me.
Okay,
Please
well,
do.
And I've been in a on and off again relationship with my current girlfriend who's sitting here today, and we got in a little bit of an argument, and she got really upset. It's happened before in the past, and part of my self-improvement, I'm trying to leave those situations and not let them escalate.
How did the police get involved? That's
Well,
what
she
I'm trying to
called the
figure out.
police. She has a way of trying to get my attention by calling the police when I won't stick around.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Calling the police to
It's
get
okay.
your attention.
It's okay, babe. She calls them to try to get my attention. It's her way of showing love, I guess. I can't really explain it. I just know I love her.
So,
very happy with the
you're
result.
chased by the police on this day because your girlfriend called the police on you.
She said I was driving drunk, Your Honor. She wanted me to stay and engage and argue with her, and I wasn't going to do it. So she calls the police. She tells them I'm drunk, I'm a danger to myself, and I'm a danger to the public, which I was not.
Yes, you
and
were.
The blood,
Certainly.
I submitted blood and did an alcohol test there.
You weren't drunk that day?
Absolutely not. I don't drink.
Why run from the police then?
As I said, Your Honor, I didn't feel like I was running. I was doing about 40 miles an hour going down a small residential road that I go down every day. I didn't think that I was speeding. Like I said, I was just going home.
Let's take another look at this video because
Yeah, let's do that.
Please do.
Let's do
Please do.
that.
What the
What the?
Ow.
You okay, babe?
I didn't see it when I was
My head hit on something. I don't know what.
Now, Mr. Hopper, I want to slow this down, and you can tell me what's going through your mind as you're in your car.
Yes, Your
So
Honor.
let's go slow. Now, walk me through this. What's
So this
going
is the
through your head?
road that I go down every day going home from work. I live about a quarter mile from here. You see it's downhill. See, I didn't even see that spike strip right there. All I saw was in the corner of my eye, I saw a police car with the lights off to the side.
Okay.
I just kind of, I just jerked a little bit.
Are
and then-
you out of control at this point?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm clearly out of control.
So you know you're about to hit something.
I just heard a big pow. I grabbed the wheel. My arm hit the steering wheel and the dash really hard, and it broke my elbow, and that's right when I got the concussion as well.
So you're pretty frightened too.
Well, yeah, Your Honor, I was scared to death. I mean, I had police in my rearview mirror, and then I had police off to the side, and something in the road. I'd never seen one of those before. I thought spike strips were only in the movies.
Y'all realize he was hurt too, right?
Yeah.
I'd be willing to trade his injuries with mine.
So do you feel badly about these injuries?
No. Your Honor, they put this on the local news, and it's ruined my reputation in the community.
These folks were
Excuse me?
terribly hurt.
Your
You understand that,
reputation.
right?
Wow, gee whiz.
Your Honor, it's not my fault that they stopped right there and the police put them so close to a high-speed chase, such a dangerous situation.
On a
You see,
small
they're right.
road.
It looks like they're in the lane, Your
But
Honor.
are you going to be that hard on your girlfriend for getting this started?
Your Honor, our relationship.
Please do.
This is.
I'm not very proud of what happened. I'm not proud of our past, but I'm in love with her. She's my person, and we've had our issues. We've had our ups and downs, sure, and this is the worst. But Your Honor, I don't feel bad for them for what they've done to me. I was a victim, Your Honor.
I know about your elbow, okay, and you told me about the concussion. Tell me about, Mr. Platt, first of all, your injuries.
Well, as soon as he hit the car, the driver's side window just completely smashed, and it's very difficult for me to raise my left arm, but essentially I just reactively put my arm in front of my face to
raising
shield
it
myself,
fucking
and I got massive laceration.
Well, hold on, what did you say, sir?
I was saying it looks like he's raising his arm fine to me.
Okay, do you think they're faking this?
I don't. I
Okay,
don't
then
at
let
all.
me
That's
hear
not
about
look
their
fake to
injuries.
me.
I spent time on yours. Direct your comments to me. Y'all making me work today. Now, Mr. Platt, what's that brace on your neck for?
This is because I got severe whiplash from the crash.
And Miss Reeves, you've got a halo on. What's that all about?
I do. When I hit the side of the car in the collision, my head went through the window and it actually fractured my C3 vertebrae, which in a nutshell means I have a broken neck right now. And this halo
it's amazing you weren't paralyzed.
I know. This halo is screwed into my skull, and I have to.
You got to sleep with that
I have to sleep like this, and I have to sleep sitting up. I haven't had a good night's sleep in months.
I have to help her.
He has to help me do everything.
I have to help her get into bed.
This sounds like a nightmare.
We had to put off our wedding for 6 months because, excuse me, I don't want to have a circus contraption in all my wedding videos.
That would be weird.
And I now have to get plastic surgery because of the cuts on my head.
Well, I see that you're asking for $35,000 for future medicals. Is that for the plastic surgery?
Yes, that will go towards plastic surgery and then anything else that we could possibly do to help look the way I did before the crash.
So you see, Mr. Hopper, regardless of whose fault it is, you see these folks were hurt pretty bad.
All I can say is like the video shows. Had there not been a spike strip in the middle of the road, this wouldn't be
spike strip.
This is all because of you. Stop.
Miss Reeves, we gotta have an agreement here, okay? Miss Parker, would you step up to the podium? I want to hear from you. You seem to be the only person without some kind of apparatus on them. Did you make a call to the police?
I did, Your Honor.
Tell me what that's all about.
Well, Your Honor, I had actually shown up to bring him some lunch at work, and I saw him talking to this girl, laughing, flirting, and...
I wasn't flirting, Your Honor.
But you were laughing, and you guys...
Am I not allowed to laugh?
You're allowed to laugh, but you work with so many women, and we already have these...
Y'all can do this at home.
God.
So what happened? How did you get this whole thing started?
He left in a hurry, very angry, very upset, and I'm the type of person who likes to just get done with the argument, find a solution, and move forward. And he just wants to just run away, and I don't understand.
So what did you do?
So I wanted to scare him straight. So I called the police.
You call this
Definitely scared someone straight.
I didn't mean that to happen.
What did you tell the police to encourage them to pull him over?
The only thing that I thought that they would actually act on, which is that he was drunk.
You just committed a crime. You call the police and tell them.
That's right.
You call the police and tell them something that's not true so that they can arrest someone because he walked away from you. You cannot do that.
It wasn't
You
to
cannot
arrest.
do that. That's a waste of police resources. It's a danger to your fiance. It's bad all the way around. This breakup to makeup thing that y'all got going on, it is really unhealthy. And regardless of how I decide today, I'm gonna order you all to couples counseling and and anger management.
Yes, we do.
And see, you're showing that I'm right. I'm gonna order you to anger management and 250 hours of community service.
Oh my God.
Now, please take a seat, ma'am. Thank you. I think I've heard what I need to hear. I'm ready to render my decision. In every personal injury case, the plaintiffs, that is you, Mr. Platt, you, Ms. Reese, you have to prove that the defendant's wrong caused your injuries. Here, you all were on the side of the road according to police instruction, finishing your ice cream, and Mr. Hopper's car slammed into you and caused severe injuries. Through your videos and other evidence, you have shown that there were decisions he could have made very differently that would have changed this result. You, Mr. Hopper, you got caught up in something that you didn't even know what was happening. That is, all of a sudden, you're leaving an argument with your girlfriend, and all of a sudden, the police are behind you. You don't know what's going on. Then you hit a spike strip and slam into these folks' car, and now you're here in court.
That's right.
Mr. Platt, Ms. Reese, the evidence in this case has shown that you all have proven that Mr. Hopper was wrong. He could have made a number of choices. Absolutely. Because of his wrong, he slammed into your car and caused you all serious injuries. And that is why I am going to award you everything you've asked for.
Oh my God.
I am awarding you past medicals of $90,000, future medicals of $35,000, and every bit of pain and suffering of $125,000 for a total award of $250,000. That is my final verdict, and this matter is adjourned. Our attorneys across America just viewed this case for the first time. Let's hear what Richard Harris has to say.
The plaintiff's video really helped their case. I think there are two important lessons here. First, if a police officer turns on the lights and sirens and directs you to pull over, then do it. And second, thank goodness the plaintiffs were still wearing their seatbelts when the impact occurred. Yes, their injuries were severe, but if they were not belted, they could have been ejected and the results could have been deadly.
Good day, everyone. This is the matter of Reynolds versus Thomas. Ms. Reynolds, you brought your sister here with you. You're suing Mr. Thomas for injuries you sustained when this dumpster hit you and caused severe problems for you. You're asking this court to award you $40,000 for your past medicals, $60,000 for your future medicals, and $1.4 million for pain and suffering, for a total of $1.5 million. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Thomas, you believe you've taken all the safety precautions you needed to take. Had she gotten out the way, this never would have happened, true?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, well, let's get into the legal sauce. Ms. Reynolds, what brought you in contact with a dumpster this day?
Well, Your Honor, my sister and I were cleaning out our late brother's house.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you. He was a hoarder. I know exaggeration about it.
As in the classic sense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
And it was more than we could handle.
That's a big job.
It was enormous. So I found the flyer from the defendant about his business, and it was something called Manly Men Waste Removal. We thought that'll be great. We contact him, thinking he's going to send us these, young, strapping, strong guys, studs, help us get this stuff out so we can sell the house.
Y'all wanted studs to move the trash.
Well, if you would have seen it, that's what's needed. I'm just being honest.
So, Mr. Thomas, tell me about Manly Men. I mean, is this a group of studs that move trash?
Personally, Your Honor, I don't know what kind of men she was expecting. I've been in this business for 20 years. I've never had an accident or injury up to this point. I'm not sure what kind of men she was expecting, but I mean, you're no spring chicken yourself.
Yeah, but
well, hold on now. Listen. First thing we're gonna do. Hold on for a minute. First thing we are going to do is let you understand this is my courtroom.
Yes, sir.
In my courtroom, no one gets insulted.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
So is this what your brother's house looked like?
Yes, Your Honor, and that's why we needed help. I was very honest with him about the situation. If it was something moderate, we could have done it ourselves. It was way beyond what we could handle.
So he shouldn't have been surprised that a big dumpster was needed.
No, and this is how he promotes his company. So I'm sorry, that's how we had an image by the way he promotes himself. So we were less than impressed when him and his partner show up and we get these two middle-aged, lazy slobs.
Okay, so hold on for a minute. There's goose and gander theory in this courtroom. Just like I don't want him to insult you, you can't insult him. We can't do that. Yes. This is a courtroom. We have decorum, and we got to respect each other, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, Ms. Reynolds, the dumpster is delivered to your brother's house. Now tell me what happened.
We had gone over the paperwork, and then all of a sudden he just left.
We didn't know where he was.
No, well, we saw him get in the truck, but he didn't give us any instructions, so I thought maybe he was going to get me a receipt or something for what we had agreed on. And the next thing that I know is this dumpster is coming down the driveway, headed straight for me. I mean, bam, it hits me, knocks me down. I hit my head on the pavement.
Mr. Thomas, I mean, this sounds like a booby trap. What happened?
I explained to her, I'm getting ready to put this dumpster down because I've got to leave it here for a couple of days. I need you to move off of the driveway.
You said that
I
to her.
said
Your
that.
Honor,
My associate.
Did you hear that?
He never said that. I was waiting for him. He just walked away, and I turn around, and suddenly I see the dumpster coming straight at me. I tried to get
Your
out
Honor.
of the way, but I had just had foot surgery, so I couldn't. Plus, I was standing. He showed me those blocks he put up, and he said that was the safety for that. So I was way behind those blocks, and I thought I was safe.
You submitted a diagram to this court. I want you to put me there with you and walk through the diagram. Are you okay to come over to the plasma? Take your time.
Your Honor, I am.
I want you to tell me how this happened, because this seems like the freakiest thing ever.
It was.
It shouldn't have happened, Your Honor, but I absolutely warned her to get out of the way. I put the chalks down.
What's the purpose for that?
These, when the dumpster hits them, it applies weight because of the way they're stepped, and it stops it.
Okay,
we use
so you
these
have
for
put those
stopping
down.
dumpsters. We use them for stopping 18-wheelers.
All right.
You name it.
Okay. Now, Miss Reynolds.
Yes, sir.
Tell me how this happened. I see somebody with a cane there. I take it that's you.
Yes, that's me.
All right.
And here's the dumpster. So I see the dumpster rolling down the driveway straight at me. I mean, it hits me, knocks me to the ground, my head goes crashing on the driveway. It literally rolls right over me. And now I'm suffering because of his negligence.
You're suffering because you stood behind the dumpster. Who stands behind
Yes,
the
ma'am.
dumpster?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
That weighs like
this
tons.
could have been a death case. So, Mr. Thomas told you to stand back there?
No.
Yes, he was showing me the blocks and he said, stay behind here and you'll be safe. And in waiting, I trusted him, and he's untrustworthy because then this thing came crashing down towards me.
Sheriff Matt, would you help Miss Reynolds back to the podium?
Yes, Your Honor.
Take your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Thomas, tell me why your blocks didn't do what they were supposed to do.
I actually brought a diagram to explain that.
All right, well, let's put your diagram up there. You show me how this happened.
So as you can see here, this is the dumpster. These are the wheels. This is a pothole that was in her driveway. Her driveway was in an extreme state of disrepair. And these are the chocks.
All right.
This is where she decided to stand. This is not where I told her to stand. You'll see this pothole right here?
Okay.
As the dumpster came down, it slid down and it hits this pothole. And when it did, it stopped the left wheel. And the right side kind of veered over and missed the chalk and hit her.
Judge, I can't
This is why you don't stand behind the dumpster.
So this is kind of a freaky,
it is.
freaky accident.
It is. But this is why you don't stand behind the dumpster, Your Honor.
There are potholes everywhere.
But, Your Honor, he's talking as if now, all of a sudden, this pothole caught him by surprise.
Yeah.
Well, what a joke.
Yeah, with all
he
his
had
years
to pass
experience?
that pothole
Come on.
to get that freaking dumpster up by the house. How come he missed it on the way up and he's so shocked by it on the way down? So he's like blaming me. This was not even my house.
Miss Reynolds.
This is my brother's house. He's blaming me for the potholes in the driveway?
Well, it's not really blame. It's who saw the pothole and knew what it meant to this situation. The more you lean on this pothole, the more it becomes obvious to everybody. You saw it too, right?
Yes, it had been there forever.
And I can't believe that's the only street he's ever had where there was a pothole.
Miss Reynolds, you've submitted to this court $40,000 in medical bills. I'm flipping through them. You've been through a lot. You're asking this court to award you another $60,000 for your future meds. So you've got a long road ahead of you.
My leg is healing, and the doctors tell me as soon as my leg actually heals, I've got to have hip replacement surgery because
That's a
of the
big deal.
fall. Yes, sir. And the damage that it did to my hip. So I'm trying to get one part to heal before we move on to the next part.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir.
Well, to better understand the nature of your injuries from a medical perspective, this court has consulted a sports medicine physician, Dr. Wesley Bailey. Sheriff Matt, will you get Dr. Bailey for us?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good day, Dr. Bailey.
Good day, sir.
Can you explain the nature of Miss Reynolds' injuries?
Well, Your Honor, the plaintiff suffered multiple injuries all over her body. These include a fracture of her left arm, as well as multiple fractures of her leg.
Miss Reynolds mentioned the need for hip replacement surgery. What does that involve?
Basically, the surgeon will make 1 to 2 incisions or carefully placed cuts into the hip joint. They'll scrape out the cartilage in the hip socket, and these parts will be replaced with prostheses made of either metal or high-grade plastic, and then a new top-end will be placed into the hip bone.
What's her pain experience going to be like even after these injuries heal?
She may still experience chronic pain at all or some of these fracture sites.
All right, doctor, thank you so much. Thanks for visiting us. You are released.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Thomas, this was a disaster for Miss Reynolds. You see that?
I do. And I'm really sorry that she got hurt. But again, this is not my fault.
Now, you pointed out this giant pothole.
Yes, sir.
You saw that driving up there, didn't you?
To be honest with you, no, sir, I did not. I did not notice it.
So if these blocks had acted the way they were supposed to, and if the bin did not pivot, would they have just stopped it where the blocks are?
It would have moved maybe a ½ inch and then stopped. She would have been safe if everything had worked perfectly. But we live in a world where things don't work perfectly. That's why I told her to move out of the way.
Now, Mr. Thomas makes an interesting point. It's not like this was a Maserati moving down the driveway.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
When this is coming at you, what were you thinking?
Get the hell out of the way! And I couldn't move fast enough. I turned. I was trying to get to the side of the driveway, but because of the surgery that I've already had, I couldn't move that fast. So all of a sudden, it slams into me, hits me, literally rolls over my leg. It mangles my leg.
So Ms. Reynolds, you've asked this court to award you $1.4 million for your pain and suffering.
Yes, sir.
Please tell me about that. That's a lot of money.
Yes, sir, it is. I had already had this surgery I was recovering from, and then because of his negligence, I had to have that surgery all over again and worse. And I'm told that I need to expect this for the rest of my life. So I'm going to be paying the price for his negligence because this meathead, I'm sorry, Your Honor.
We're not going to do that.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. It slipped out.
I know this is important to you, but we can't resort to insult.
No, you're right, Your Honor, and
Yes,
I
ma'am.
don't normally behave like that, but
Yes,
I'm.
Thank you.
I've been
Her motive
told,
is purely money, Your Honor.
I've been told that I'm looking at a lifetime of pain.
You just said her motive was purely money?
She wants to sue me for $1.4 million?
Well, you do see that she's got pretty severe injuries, right?
And I am sorry that she's hurt, but $1.4 million? This is purely motivational money.
Your Honor,
That's all this
we
is
were
about.
solving the money
Well, you know,
problem.
I was feeling you there for a minute until you turned on the ice cubes. I haven't heard you say one time during this whole proceeding to her, look, regardless of whether this is my fault, I'm really sorry you're hurt.
I have tried
You gotta
to say
feel
that.
bad about that.
Your Honor, I have tried to say that.
Now, let me tell you something else. Even if you apologize, when people come into a courtroom and they truly feel sorry about something, they're afraid to say, I'm sorry, because they think that indicates fault. Under the law, it does not. It indicates you have a heart and that you're human. So if you want an opportunity to say, I'm sorry.
Sorry she got hurt.
Tell her.
Look, I am sorry you got hurt.
I don't believe anything you have
Well,
to
I don't
say
really
to me.
believe
I've
anything
done all
you
the
have to say
talking
either because you've come out of the
Sorry
bed.
that he's even
Order
here.
in this
That's
court.
what he's sorry about.
Your Honor.
I've heard enough. I've heard everything I need to render a decision, and I'm ready to do that. Folks, in every personal injury case, the plaintiff, you, Ms. Reynolds, you've got to prove 3 things. You've got to prove that the defendant was wrong and that the defendant's wrong caused your harm. But being harmed alone does not mean you win. What I've got to figure out is whether you prove that Mr. Thomas was wrong. Here, you've put up evidence that he told you to stand where you stood in this driveway beyond these barriers that are designed to stop this bin if it slides a little bit, as Mr. Thomas anticipated. You didn't think this thing was going to keep rolling despite how steep this driveway was. Yes. But the thing that neither of you all anticipated is that a pothole would change both your lives.
Yes.
Under the law, when you have an activity such as a dumpster that's 5,000 pounds on a steep driveway that's in disrepair, you are the professional. You are called to notice those things and to take those into consideration in your safety equation, because safety's first.
Yes, Your Honor.
You did not anticipate the pothole, and because of that, your safe operation turned into something that was very, very unsafe. Ms. Reynolds, I find that you have proven the wrong. You've proven that Mr. Thomas was wrong in not anticipating that pothole. Whether he warned you or not, he should have known about that pothole. I find you've proven his wrong. But he is not wrong by himself. Some common sense has to kick in, even if you're hobbled with a bad foot. You can't be standing at the bottom of a driveway with a 5,000-pound weight about to come at you, blocks or not. This case is a classic comparative fault case, comparing your fault to your fault. Here I find you are 80% responsible, and Ms. Reynolds, I find that you are 20% responsible. So I find in your favor in the amount of $1.2 million and against Mr. Thomas, and that is my final verdict. This matter is concluded. Our attorneys across America just viewed this case for the first time. Let's hear what Leonard Lundy has to say.
The defendant had superior knowledge of the dangers of unloading a large metal dumpster off his trunk, and yet he failed to warn the plaintiff of those dangers. He drove up the driveway and should have seen it was on a steep slope and in disrepair. As a professional driver, he should have made sure the plaintiff was out of the way before releasing the dumpster.
Good day, everyone. This is the matter of Ricci versus Elizabeth Gray Salon. Mr. Ricci, it's my understanding from the documents that you filed with this court that you sustained injuries at Miss Gray's salon, and you're asking this court to award you medical expenses of $10,000, pain and suffering of $70,000 for a total award of $80,000. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Miss Gray, is your position that you provided the service he requested and this is not your fault, true?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, let's get into the legal sauce. Mr. Ricci, what brought you to Miss Gray's salon this day?
Well, Your Honor, as a software engineer, I don't really get the chance to meet a lot of women. I've been doing this for about 10 years and I still don't have a ring or anything like that to show for it. I met this wonderful woman named Debbie, and we had been talking for a good long while. We've been texting, and it finally came down to the point where she not only wanted to go on a date, but she wanted to go on a trip. She wanted to go to the beach.
That's a truth or dare moment.
I was actually a little bit self-conscious about something that my friend Dave told me. He said that I had to do something about my organic sweater, so to speak, my body hair, Your Honor. I have a lot of it, and he said she'll think it's gross. I need to do something about it. So he knew of Miss Gray's establishment, and he set up the appointment for me.
So your friend told you you needed a little manscaping to kind of clean up for this date and the beach appearance.
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Gray, tell me about your salon.
I am the owner of the Elizabeth Gray Salon. We specialize in facial and hair removal. I've been in business for about 10 years. We offer so many choices, from laser, which uses a beam of light, to electrolysis, which is electricity, to sugar waxing as well, which is we just rip it right off with a strip.
Okay.
So we offer a lot of choices. About 75% of my clients are women. However, in recent years, Your Honor, I've seen a lot of men coming in for some grooming, waxing some obvious places and not so obvious places.
So guys get more wax than their chest?
Exactly. Everyone likes a little grooming and look their best. I really believe, Your Honor, that if I can help not only women, but all people look beautiful, that inside it will help them feel better about themselves.
So when someone comes in for hair removal, particularly a man, you take it off where they want it taken off?
We do. We make sure that we go over every step with them.
So Mr. Ricci is not really any different from your other male clients who want their chest to be bare?
No, he is not.
So, Mr. Ricci, what happened?
They take me to this back room where there's no windows or anything and get me down to just my boxers and a robe. So the wax lady comes up to me and she asks, "What's your pain tolerance?" And I figured since my bud Dave could handle it, so could I, so I just said average. They started off with just one patch of skin, and it's one of those things where you just think that it'll get easier as it keeps going, and that just was not the case. They started off by getting this kind of like the stick and rubbing a little bit of the wax on one half of my chest.
Okay.
And then...
Now, it wasn't hurting yet, right?
It was already getting there, but I was just trying to bear through it.
Okay.
So she gets out the piece of paper and she presses into my skin. That's when I really felt like something was not right. She rips it off and a piece of my skin with it. And she just kept going over and over again until my skin just looked ravaged. It was bubbling, it was blistering. It did not seem like everything was all right. I asked the wax lady, is this supposed to be normal? And she told me, quit being a baby, man up.
No.
It was a harrowing experience, Your Honor.
So this is what that wax did to your skin?
Yes, Your Honor, and it's still painful just standing here in this shirt.
Is that how this is supposed to work, Miss Gray? That sounds like a torture chamber.
No, Your Honor. That is not how it works at my salon.
Well, how is this supposed to work?
Well, at the time of this incident, I was in my office doing some filing papers, and one of my estheticians came running back to me, and she said she had provided a service to Mr. Ricci. He ran out of the salon without paying.
All she cares about is the money. When I had to run to the ER for second-degree burns.
Our process at our salon.
But isn't this simple, though, that you put hot wax on the skin and you rip the skin off? Then it's not supposed to be that way, right? Isn't it that simple?
Actually, it's not that simple.
Okay.
But we offer various choices to remove hair. And we tried to talk with Mr. Ricci. He did not want to hear it. He started waving
I was on my
his
lunch
hands
break. I was just trying to get in, get out.
He
It's supposed to be
was
something
in
simple.
And out. That is not the process of our salon.
What options did you
We
get?
offer laser. That's when we use a beam of light. We offer electrolysis using electricity to burn the hair follicle. Sugar wax, a substance over the subject where we use a strip to take off the hair in the opposite direction of hair growth.
So if he had used these other options, then he wouldn't have had these injuries?
Exactly. If he would have listened to what my esthetician was trying to tell him, but instead he would not.
Your Honor, it wasn't that I wasn't listening. It was that I was getting pulled into the appointment before I even had time to ask any real questions. You guys said, oh, we have a line. We have to get going, Mr. Ricci.
Did they give you options?
No, Your Honor, they did not give me all the options.
Because you were not listening, Mr. Ricci.
If he doesn't understand the options, then it's pretty natural that he choose what you put in front of him, right?
And that's where he is not being forthcoming with the truth. We sat him down to make sure he understood his choices.
Okay.
And we offer many, as I've already stated. He would not listen. We even
But look at his chest, Miss Gray. Hot wax, is it supposed to do that?
This is unfortunate, but however, we tested a patch of his skin with hot wax. He did not complain at all, Your Honor. He even said, oh, my tolerance level for pain is average.
What is your scale, the Spanish Inquisition?
And if he does not let someone know about if this hurts or it doesn't hurt, how are we supposed to know?
No, I didn't know I had to come up with the same words.
Anytime we deal with cases that involve a pain tolerance, it's always dangerous to compare women's pain tolerance versus men.
Exactly.
We're babies. Y'all have babies.
That is right, Your Honor.
You've submitted $10,000 in medical expenses to this court. Please explain your injuries.
Not only did I experience second-degree burns, they ravaged and permanently scarred my chest for the rest of my life. A guy like me doesn't get too many chances with Debbies. And these people, this staff at Elizabeth Gray's Salon have permanently damaged any chances of ever meeting another Debbie for the rest of my life. This is what her staff did to me, Your Honor.
That looks like that hurts right now.
It feels like sandpaper every time I try to even move my arm.
Ms. Gray, you see, these are real permanent injuries.
He did not say anything that he was in any pain. He just kept silent. This is the first time I'm
silent. I was rolling around on the table, panting, and I asked her, was this normal? was this supposed to be happening? And she told me, man up, quit being a baby.
Mr. Ricci, I'm not as brave as you are. I've never had manscaping. So I've got to understand exactly how this happens from a technical standpoint. This court has consulted an expert esthetician, Miss Erin Renee. Sheriff, will you get Miss Renee from the hallway, please?
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell the truth next time, Mr. Ricci.
Talk to me, folks. Good day, Miss Renee.
Hi.
How long have you been working as an esthetician?
I've been an esthetician for 14 years. I did bring a model because I wanted to show the process of hair removal with waxing. With the hot wax, all estheticians who perform this service always check the temperature of the wax before they start removing hair. And we check the temperature on ourselves by applying a little bit on the inside of our arm here. And that way, we know exactly what the client is going to be experiencing. So I'm applying the wax on the direction that the hair actually grows so that you're able to get all of the hair follicles out with one pull. I am always honest with my clients, and I try to understand their threshold for pain before we get started with the service. In his client intake form, he filled out all of the questions, and he said that his pain tolerance was pretty average, and he also said that he's not on any medications that would make his skin hypersensitive to the waxing.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go ahead and pull it.
Mm.
Yes. So you'll feel it.
Now, I'm seeing his reaction. He's got tears in his eyes. Mr. Robbins, thank you for coming in here. How did that feel?
It hurt.
Miss Renee, he got second-degree burns where his skin was ripped out.
I won't say that's typical or it's not supposed to necessarily happen. However, there are different things that will impact your results. One, what did he do before the waxing? Whether it was laying out by the beach or going to the pool, hanging out, whether it was doing a lot of drinking before he came in to get his service. There are different things that can impact the results.
Thank you, ma'am. You are released. Thank you, Mr. Robbins. Mr. Ricci, I gotta ask you, were you drinking, taking medications? Did you go to the beach?
No, Your Honor.
Your Honor, may I present to you a disclosure form?
Sheriff, if you'll retrieve the disclosure form.
Thank you very much.
It reads, Wax Services Client Release Form. Number 1, have you ever been treated for skin cancer? You mark no.
Correct.
Number 6, are you exposed to the sun on a daily basis, or are you considering spending more time in the sun soon? You mark no.
Correct.
Number 7, do you use a tanning bed?
Listen.
You mark no, and then there's a signature next to the customer signature indication. Is that your signature, Mr. Ricci?
Your Honor, yes, that might be my signature.
So you lied.
How do you know he lied?
I have a witness who can corroborate my story.
And your witness is Miss Alice Roman.
That is correct.
Miss Roman, would you stand and come to the podium?
Absolutely.
What did Mr. Ricci lie about?
Well, I was in the waiting room with Mr. Ricci as he was talking on the phone very loudly. I wasn't trying to be nosy. And I overheard him saying that he was at the tanning bed prior to coming into the salon.
You went to the tanning bed, but you said no on the form?
I didn't even have time to really read them before they dragged me to the back, eager to get to their torturing.
So once again, you were not listening and not even reading the questions.
Folks, let me give you a legal lesson. Anytime you go into a business and they have you fill out an information packet or an application, it is very, very, very important that you be honest because they have to rely on your representation. Ms. Roman, you may be seated.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Gray, so your esthetician put the wax on her arm?
The esthetician actually tested his skin, Your Honor. And he did not complain, he did not say anything. Oh, my pain tolerance is average.
I think I've heard what I need to hear, and I'm ready to render my decision. Folks, in every personal injury case, the plaintiff has to prove really 3 things. You got to prove that the defendant was wrong. That's number 1. Number 2 is that that wrong caused your injuries. You've put up evidence here today that you totally relied on Elizabeth Gray's Salon to take the hair off your chest so you could go on this romantic journey with Debbie. Instead, the esthetician put the hot wax on your chest and ripped your skin off, changed your chest forever, and destroyed your opportunity, potentially for the love of your life. Ms. Gray, you have put up evidence today that your salon gave him several options, but he wasn't listening. He wanted this chest hair gone. He chose the hot wax. Your esthetician actually put it on his skin and asked him, is it too hot? When he didn't complain, she went forward with the procedure and he got burns. You've pointed out that he was not quite forthcoming on the application where he indicated that he had not been in a tanning bed. In fact, he had. Here, that collision of the evidence raises two legal principles. One is care for your own safety. You have a responsibility to take care of yourself long before you look to someone else to take care of you. Part of that is being truthful on the application form. The other legal principle is professional judgment. Although manscaping and hair removal is common, it is a profession. It's why estheticians have to be licensed. Here, that professional judgment involves not only application of the wax, but whether to do it in light of the circumstances. The expert witness put the wax on her own arm to see if it was hot. The evidence in this case, your esthetician tested the wax on his skin. Your salon is responsible for Mr. Ricci's injuries because your professional judgment is not relieved based on his misrepresentation. You still must exercise professional judgment in determining whether the wax is too hot or not. It is very simple. It was too hot, should not have been put on, it caused real injury. This is your fault. I find in favor of the plaintiff, and I'm going to award you a total award of $80,000 against Elizabeth Gray Salon. That's my final verdict, and this matter is adjourned. Our attorneys across America just viewed this case for the first time. Let's hear what Terry Krupin has to say.
A professional is held to a high standard when performing a service for pay. The esthetician should have known the plaintiff had been to a tanning booth by the orange color of his skin. Based on this, they should have warned him about proceeding with waxing or refused to perform the service. Bottom line, the wax was too hot, and that's why the plaintiff won.